Hey there, Chad here. In this video, I want to do a recap of that epic 4-hour long live stream launch of Chibi 2.0. It is probably quite a lot for you to look through if you just kind of want the highlights. That's what this is going to be. I'm going to try and keep it as short as I can. It's probably going to go a little past 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. But I'll try and make it shorter if I can. Basically, Chibi 2.0 was launched. A lot of people are really impressed, and I think you will be too. And if I'm going to try and do this video from the perspective mostly of someone who has used the previous version of Chibi, but also I will explain some things in case you haven't tried Chibi before at all. So this is the dashboard, and it's what you'll see when you log on, whether you're on a free account or a premium account or whatever. And here you can create new documents, view your documents. The new thing is the templates feature. And we'll go more into that when we get into the editor and stuff. So that's where I'm going to go next. I'm going to go into the documents. This hasn't changed. This is what your documents view looks like. You can load more and such. And I'm going to go ahead and open a document. This is what the new Chibi 2.0 looks like. It's pretty different than what it was before. It's a significantly improved writing experience. So I spent a ton of time trying to really kind of, almost down to the pixel, try to make sure that this was one of the best writing experiences on the web, period. Not even just AI writing experiences, but just writing experiences, as a whole. And then have AI in there capable to help you get things done more quickly or to be more creative. So you have the standard sort of tools up here at the top in the toolbar, right? You got some formatting stuff. So you get some headings, bold, italics, some lists. And this brush looking tool here is a clear formatting tool. So if you ever get in a situation, maybe you've pasted something in from like Google Docs or something, and you've got a bunch of formatting and stuff in there that you don't like or you don't want to keep, you can just highlight entire sections of your document, hit that cleanup tool, and it removes all that formatting for you. Pretty handy in case you want to clean up stuff. After that, we have a few tools that are unique to Chibi. If you've been a Chibi user, you know what these are. You have Smart Lock, Title Casing, Mobile Cut, and the Paragraph Shredder. I'm not going to go too deep into these. The Smart Lock is an AI tool thing. So if you want to help control what Chibi's going to use, sort of as his context of what he's going to, think about when writing your content, you would highlight some content that you want to use. Like, let's say that this is it, and you hit the Smart Lock button. It puts these curly braces around the content, and that means that everything in between Chibi is going to focus on. It means nothing else. And it doesn't make sense to do that to the first paragraph, maybe, unless you're like way down here. Like, let's say we were down here writing, and you have this Smart Lock. That means this stuff right here, Chibi is going to completely ignore, because he's paying attention only to what you have in your Smart Locks. Now, you can have more than one Smart Lock. You can have a Smart Lock there, and you can have another Smart Lock down here. Smart Locks don't have to be like entire paragraphs. You can just have portions of sentences and stuff, as long as it kind of makes sense. Like, you wouldn't cut off words like I just did right there. You make that more like that. But what will happen then is you read it from top to bottom, skipping anything that's not locked. So it would be this, and then followed by this, followed by this, would make up the context that Chibi would be using. And when you want to get rid of all of them, hold down Shift and click the Smart Lock. Makes all of them go away. Or Command right square bracket. Okay, so those are kind of the tools. The Smart Lock one is the most important. The Paragraph Shredder will help you rewrite. And what it does is it takes a paragraph that you have and kind of chops it up, shreds it down into just a few leads. It's good for rewriting your content and things like that. It's a cool tool. Okay, to the right of that in the toolbar, over here to the right, we have all of our core workflow buttons. Now, if you were a Chibi user, you remember those as being those green buttons over here to the right. And there was the topic box and stuff like that over here. These buttons are now here in the top, right there in the toolbar, so they're always available to you. You have Write, Seed, Flow, Pathways, and Finish. The Write button pairs with the topic and the content, the context of where you are in your content. So if I was here, he'd be looking at the stuff above. as well as pairing it with the topic. So that really helps Chibi stay really focused and make sure he stays on topic for you while he's writing. And you can create some interesting things. The other thing to note is that the right button is focused or is best used as following a lead. And a lead is where you start the sentence and write a portion of it first. Like for instance, if I had written this as the start and then I want Chibi to take over and finish it, a good way to do that would be to use the right button to have him finish it. Now the seed button is there to kind of help kickstart your document. It's where if I hit a new document here, it says enter your topic above and then hit the seed button, which is also Shift Command S or Shift Control S if you're on Windows. So you could have a topic like exercise at home, for instance. And then maybe you don't quite know how to get enough content in there to help Chibi really start writing, and you just want him to help you out real quick. You can hit the seed button and he'll write a bunch of content in here. Okay. And then if that's what you like, you of course you should edit this and kind of make it fit and conform with your style and sort of the goal of what it is you're trying to write for your audience. But once that seed is good, then you're starting down the path of helping Chibi help you write. But a good seed and a good start to your document really goes a long way. Next, we have the flow button. And the flow button is similar to write, except he doesn't care about the topic, and he'll kind of riff and flow with whatever's in your content. Let me go back to that previous document here. And the flow button is kind of designed if you just want Chibi to do more for you than the right button would do for you, and you kind of want to let him follow the patterns that you've kind of set up in your document, or the style and the tone and things like that. He'll do it better with the flow button. And this flow button has a lot more power than that, and I'll explain that in a little bit when we talk about the new features as well. Pathways, this button is designed to kind of just give you a couple of quick ideas for content. Let's say that maybe you're way down in your document, you've been writing for a while, and you want a couple of ideas. You would hit the pathway button and Chibi would write a couple of ideas to kind of spur some creativity and give you something like, okay, that's maybe a good way of taking my content, and just something to help you break free of maybe those micro, writer's block moments that you might have. Or even maybe if you were curious to see if Chibi could give you some ideas that maybe you didn't include in your content that would help enhance and make it better for your audience. And then this last button is the finish button. It's essentially the same thing as the right button, except that Chibi will stop at the end of a sentence. So if you have any experience with any other AI tools out there, when you hit like the right button, it can just keep going and going and going, right? And it feels like it just kind of has it never ends. If you want the AI to just stop, if you want Chibi to just like, okay, just finish the sentence for me, and then so I can move on, you would use the finish button, which is Shift Command Enter on the keyboard shortcut. And that's it for what we call the core workflow buttons, and those always stay with you. Now, if you noticed, let me scroll back up to the top here. If you notice that the toolbar is super important, right? It's got all your formatting tools, the unique Chibi tools, plus the AI core workflow tools. You definitely want that available to you no matter what, whenever you're in your document, right? So it sticks to the top of the screen like that, right? It's always going to be there no matter how far down you're into your document. Now, this right here is the topic field. This is where you're helping Chibi understand what it is that you're writing about. It's also an important feature for the feature that I'm about to tell you about that came with Chibi 2.0. But in essence, it's an important field. You'll want to use it, and you don't want it to be hidden away. So it also will stick to the top of the screen, so that you always have those fields, those tools available to you, no matter where you are in your document writing process. So if you're down here, you're way down at the bottom, and you're finishing up your document, your tools are still there. And of course, you always want to kind of have an eye on the word count, so that word count's always going to be there as well. Okay, so this is the sort of full editor, we call it. It has this is the tag of your document, the title, topic box, word count, and then the body of the document itself. So this is the full experience because you have the canvas that you're writing in with the tools, And then you have the sidebar over here with the Chibi modes. That's what these are: article, copywriting, and persona. And then you have all these tabs of tools and capabilities for you. So you have the AI tab, and if you were a Chibi user already, you recognize this. As you switch to different modes, these AI buttons change. And those AI buttons give you just different capabilities based on what it is that you're searching for or looking for in your content. If you want a list or an outline or headlines, that's where you would use those. Copywriting mode helps you write out those copywriting formulas, and persona is designed to help you write a persona story for your audience, your desired reader. And notice that the modes are color coded, and this icon right here changes with the mode as it's changing. Now it's doing that because there's another feature of this button. When you click it, you get the minimal editor mode, which gets rid of all that sidebar stuff and leaves a nice clean writing experience. If you don't need the distractions of those buttons and you're just, you just want to sit down and have a nice comfortable writing experience, every once in a while taking advantage of the AI, all your AI tools are still here. Well, all the core workflow tools are still here. And now this is still green. So it's green because we're right now in persona mode. And actually there is a keyboard shortcut for changing the modes. So if I hold down Shift, Command, and M, every time I tap M while holding down Shift and Command, it switches modes. And notice that the icon is changing colors. The one right up here at the right is changing colors. So it goes from green to slate to red to green again. And slate is article mode, red is copywriting mode, and green is persona mode. So you have the ability to switch modes while you're still in the minimal editor once you get used to what those colors mean. You can also toggle the minimal editor and the full editor by holding Command and tapping Escape. So if you didn't want to have to go up there and click it, you could also Command Escape to switch back and forth. And so that's the minimal editor, nice clean experience. Now let's go through some of the tools and stuff that you'll see over here in these tabs. The AI tools, they make, they do what they do. I'm going to skip these two because those two are part of the new features. The info tab is where you see some information about your document, number of words, characters, the reading time, the reading score and such. Then you have notes. This is sort of like having like a blank piece of paper next to you that you can write down some quick notes about. This is tied directly to this document only. So if you maybe want to post in an outline or just some reminders of things that you want to, don't want to miss when you're writing about whatever your topic is, or you could even put in there, let's say that Chibi did some writing for you. You liked it, but maybe you didn't quite need to use it where it was. You could copy it out and paste it into your notes so that you don't lose it, and you can maybe use it again later. Scratch is similar, except Scratch is a single piece of notepaper that is also shared across all of the documents. So I can have this content in here in this document, and I can make some changes, add some content, whatever, and it has its own separate save button. So when this thing is saved, if I go to a different document and I go to Scratch, that content is still there. And that's because that scratch pad, that scratch piece of paper is available to you across all of your documents. Let's go back to the other document here. After Scratch, you have the recent topics list. This is a global sort of recent topics. It's not specific to this document. That is something we're thinking about, something that came up during the live stream. But anytime you use you put something in your topic and then you write, this will update. So if I go ahead and use, let's say, flow. Do I already have it in here? Oh, I've already written about that topic. We'll just change it to interesting facts and then write something. And if you click these buttons while Chibi's writing, he'll stop. And this green button right here will undo everything in one click. So I have interesting facts here now because I wrote about that topic once. And then I can, at any time I want to switch back to a previous topic, I can just click the topic in this list and it updates the topic box. The next tab is for exporting your content. If you want to copy the text, this is the plain text of this content. You just click here, it'll copy right to your clipboard and you can paste it into anything you want. If you want to copy the HTML source of it, and it's actually copied in a way that If you go and you paste it into Google Docs, it'll keep all the formatting and everything for you and paste nicely into Google Docs to make it nice and easy for you. If you'd prefer to download it, you can download the plain text here and download the HTML as well. Here we have a help modal that pops up that gives you some of the keyboard shortcuts, the mouse modifiers, and then we start getting into some of the new features. And that is the tuning variable here, which is something that's part of the tuning lab that I'm going to talk about next. Okay, so before I get into the tuning lab, in essence, all of this stuff, much of it, was available in Chibi 1.0 in some manner. It's just been highly polished, tuned up, cleaned up, and brought to you and like organized into this really nice writing experience. Now, I know that a lot of people probably maybe don't care as much. For me, while I'm writing, I really appreciate a really nice, clean, comfortable, and aesthetically pleasing writing experience. So this is important to me. So I hope that you'll find it as comfortable to write in as I do. It's really nice. Okay, so let's talk about the templates. That's what the next feature is. The tuning lab is part of templates. It's a really powerful, very flexible feature that gives you basically your own power over creating content. So let's look at, well, templates actually have a couple of purposes. Let's look at the Tokyo Spark restaurant review template first. This is essentially a non-AI template. It's a template in the sort of traditional sense of a template, right? You have the idea that, maybe you have a blog and you have certain types of posts that you always write. Like in my case, Tokyo Spark is my website, and I write restaurant reviews sometimes. And when I do that, this is the format that I want to follow. I have this heading, is the place English friendly, and describe how it's English friendly. These are just things that will remind me of what it is that I need to write into this about that restaurant. And this is just the standard sort of idea of what a template is, right? So interesting feature of this is that when you click this button right here, basically what it's going to do, Chibi's going to create a new document that's based off of that template. So I just click here, and let's just say I was doing Ishigami Osteria review. It's a very nice little mom and pop Italian restaurant here in Ome, Tokyo. And now I have my template here. I can follow that template however, I usually do when I'm doing my writing. And that's a unique feature, because I think a lot of AI tools, they're so focused on AI that they forget that there's a little bit more to the writing process, right? And I think that this is something that's very powerful for writers. Okay, but you're probably more interested in the AI part of it, so let's go ahead and get into that next. We'll go to the paragraph improver. And this is the tuning lab, this tab that it started on by default, because if you load a template and the tuning lab is on and such, it will, well, the tuning lab has to be on when you're in a template, but if you're opening a template, it's just going to jump right to the tuning lab, because Chibi's going to assume that you want to work on the tuning of this template. So when you're in a template like this, to the right here in the tuning lab, this is where you have the power to build your own templates to create the content that you want. In this case, we've given Chibi a sample, one sample that says, given a paragraph, write an improved version of it. And then we have the input paragraph as an example, and then they have the output paragraph example of how we want the paragraph rewritten to look like. And then we have the template portion of it down here below it, and it matches the same pattern, like, given a paragraph, write an improved version of it, right? It says the same thing. And then paragraph, and then we need an input paragraph. Now, you don't want to have to type out your input paragraph over and over again, right? So content 500 means 500 characters above the current mouse cursor location, or keyboard cursor location. Now, in this case, there's not 500 characters, but if you were in a different document that did have 500 characters, it would use all 500 characters as the input. There are a few options here. It doesn't have to be content 500. You could have last paragraph. Graph. You could have last sentence, last word. These are different. Like last word would be in this case it'd be 1998. Last sentence would be this. and so on. Last paragraph would be this. And so what that means is that in your main content, sort of over here, when you're in a template, this canvas on the left is more for helping you test and tune this template to get the content that you want. And once you have it set up to how you like it, I'm going to switch this back to content 500. And then notice that we have another feature here, another toggle, the button toggle. Okay, now that's what this other tab, that's where this other tab comes into play. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, when I switch to this tab, I have Paragraph Improver. It's a button that I get to use to create content. Now, Chibi might not do too good of a job to improve this content because there's just not that much there, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot and see what happens. Yeah, he just repeated it. Yeah, because there's just nothing here for him. It doesn't really match the template, and that's what I want to show you next. When you do start creating the content or your templates, the input paragraph, like look how long this is. You're gonna want the input paragraph to mimic the size of this roughly. Notice we have content 500. So one nice way we could make sure that we kind of follow this is to paste it in here, and then we could select this text, and then if we go to information, it'll tell us how many characters that is. So its character count is 343, and if we go back to our tuning lab, we could actually change this to more like 350. And then that way, the content that Chibi uses to fill in this input paragraph based off of this tag will be roughly the same exact size as this. Now, there isn't 350 characters here for us to prove that right now, but we'll see it in just a moment. So I see how it says Tuning Lab here, and it has the flow buttons icon. And notice also that the flow button is colored red now. And it's red because I'm in light mode. It would be blue when I'm in dark mode. And so if let's see if we can get something in here to do some testing here. Let's go switch out to another document here real quick. And let's grab, I've already messed this document up so much. Let's just see if we can grab something here. Go back to our templates, Paragraph Improver. And let's just make it something more. And we don't want origami butterfly in here. Okay. Let's see if the paragraph improver will improve that a little bit. How many characters we got here? Okay. It's not so different, 390 versus 340. That's not that much. That's not much different. If you don't want to have like 900 or 1200 or something when the input's expecting 350, that kind of a drastic difference. So now we can use, because we're just testing in here, we don't need to go back to the button. We can just use the flow button, and when the tuning lab is on, the flow button runs this template. Okay. So, now we've got a rewritten paragraph based off of what we built here in the template. So the goal here is that, you don't just kind of create generic templates. You create them that they use your voice, your soul, right? How you like to write and the expectations that you have as a writer. You put that into your templates, and you would actually do more than one sample. Right now I've got one sample, but it would be better if you did 2 samples, and not, of course, they wouldn't be the same samples. You would make this a totally different example for Chibi to understand. And when you have at least 2, he'll do significantly better than just having 1. I'm just showing you one just because, we're trying to work pretty quickly through this, but you would have more, and the more time you can pour into tuning your template perfectly for you, the better the results are going to be, and Chibi's going to create some amazing content for you. If you watch the live stream, there's a couple of moments when John is showing the tuning lab and showcasing some of that content that it's creating just pure magic. And he even at some point in there will take the ideas from Carol, who's in the one of the participants in the live stream. She provides some stories and some inputs, and the way that Chibi takes it and just starts writing with it is just awesome. You have to see it. I know it's a 4-hour live stream, but it really does prove that there's some real power here. Okay, so now we've got this thing set up as a button. Let's just go into our regular documents, right? I'm actually hit save first. Let's go into our regular documents and let's go back to this one. And let's say that we want to use our custom, the custom button that we just created, that our template in our regular documents where we're writing our content. And you just go here and you have your buttons available to you. So you can remember that template was content 350 characters, right? So from wherever the cursor is, when I click the paragraph improver, he's going to look back 350 characters. Let's see how much that is. Yeah, roughly to about here. It's a little bit long, but something. We'll get there eventually. Okay. Well, it's about here somewhere. But anyway, he'll use that content as his context. And we'll go back to here and make sure we're there. Hit the paragraph improver, and you should see that content and improve upon it. Okay, cool. This time he decided to produce a list about it, but that's okay. Sometimes, the interesting thing about these AI tools is that sometimes it produces content that you'll use as is. Sometimes it produces contents that gives you ideas on where you can take your content to. And these are pretty good for that. So we'll just go ahead and clear that up. So that's the paragraph improver tool. And you'll be able to, improve or build your own templates any way you want to make the most of your writing experience inside of Chibi. Now, you'll definitely want, I guess that's about a wrap on what we're doing with Chibi 2.0. One thing to keep in mind too is I'm in my regular document right now, and let's just say that the paragraph improver is not quite improving my paragraphs good enough for me in this particular moment. Like maybe the paragraph improver, the button usually works pretty well, but for some reason with the topic that you're in right now, it's just not quite doing it. Well, right next to these buttons, we have the tuning fork, right? And that's going to take the template from within this button and put it into this document's tuning lab. So you see how like right here it says tuning lab is on, but it shows that it's still a document. This is not a template. If you wanted to turn this document into a template, you can click here to turn it into a template. And then if you wanted that template to be a button, you could turn on it being a button. But for now, this is a document, and we're in the situation where our paragraph improver is not quite improving how we want it to. So we can hit that tuning fork. It takes us here, and then we can update our samples to kind of more fit maybe or change them up just to give us some variety and see if we can tune them a little bit better to get the content that we want and on the fly. And then later, if you wanted to to take this and use it as a way to update your paragraph improver template, you could do that. Now, if you want some ideas, if you go into article mode and go into the AI section, the standard buttons have the tuning fork as well. So if you want to get an idea of how you might create a list, you click on that tuning fork and it will show you kind of what that looks like. If you ever want to understand more about these or figure out what else there are available to you for these tuning variables, that's here in the help that I showed you before, down here in the tuning variables. So you can get title, topic. Those are pretty powerful because if you're doing something where you want to use the title of your content along with the topic, maybe even combine it with content 500 or last paragraph or something, you can do that. There's no limit to, I've been showing you templates that have just one of these really, but you can use 3, 4, 5, or 6 or 10 if you want to. If you can figure out an interesting way to make a template that uses multiple of them, you sure can. Now down here, this list thing just says, hey Chibi, when you create something, please put it into bullets, which uses the formatting here. It's nothing really any special other than that. We just know that Chibi's going to create a list, and so we would prefer that if it was actually using the editor's formatting. If you take this away, he just won't create bullets. That's all. That's the only difference. Okay, so that's the power of Chibi now. You have the ability to create your own templates. Those templates can be tuned and saved and run right there inside of their own sort of editor experience, but you can also turn them into buttons that you can reuse in your own content. An interesting thing, see how this template says last sentence. So if or even in our paragraph improver, it was last paragraph or content 500. So if I go into here and pay no attention to what it produces, what I'm going to show is I can run the paragraph improver and it's going to create it's going to create like a Reddit subchannel looking thing. All right, let's take that out. Oops. Okay, so it created a paragraph. Let's just say that's the end of it. We can go down, and when we hit that paragraph again, or paragraph improver button again, it's going to use the content it just created. It's going to, you can kind of daisy chain it because it's just using the last paragraph or the last 500 characters or 350 characters, I guess in this case, when you click it. So if you build a bunch of those buttons that you can kind of use together to formulate your own sort of structure and workflow and all that kind of stuff, you can do that with these variables and stuff. So, and I think one of the most powerful things will be that we're going to have in, well, we already have in the Chibi community. If you're not a member over here, you probably want to join now. It's free to join. You have a free public area, and then we have an AI workshop space, which is John Base's premium sort of mastermind area where he gives more personalized assistance. This is right now on sale for half price if you want to join. I think it's $9 a month right now, which is super cheap for having somebody who's there who knows how to do all this stuff really, really well to give you personalized, like I shouldn't say personalized. It's well, I guess in a sense it's personalized. Like he'll take your feedback, your ideas, your content, your topics and things, and what it is you're trying to do with the templates, and he'll help you craft them to create something really interesting for your needs. But in the free area tuning lab, we also are talking about some of the templates, or even sharing ideas on how we've created our own little interesting things. And if you look in here, there's somebody is making these conversation dialogue templates that are really cool and interesting. I'm sharing the subtopic one just recently. It's a place where we're going to really kind of make a library of these templates if you want to get some ideas and stuff for. So definitely get into the Chibi community. It's also where we provide support if you're having any kind of issues with Chibi itself, or you need some help getting the content that you want from it. But if you are interested in the AI workshop, get in there before March 12th, because the price, this discount is going to go away. Okay, so we got all these new features, and it's really, it's really powerful now. And of course, this is not the end. There's going to be more. I've already got some more ideas on how to enhance this tuning lab. So you might be thinking, okay, the price has got to be going up, right? The price is going to be higher. And well, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but no, actually, price is getting lower for a moment. For a moment. So what I'm doing is, I'm considering this my gift, my to early adopters who have been with me from the beginning, and you want to get in and take advantage of Chibi and all this new power. And you've had that 10% discount from when you early adopted before. What's happening is I'm leaving Stripe and I'm moving to a new payment platform called Paddle. And what they're going to do is they're going to basically handle the global tax compliance and all that kind of stuff for me, so that I can purely focus on making Chibi better and not have to worry about all those tax compliance laws that are all different for every country out there. I don't know if you've ever tried to run a business that does international work and stuff, but there's so many rules. It's almost impossible. So luckily, by using Paddle, they're going to handle all that stuff for me, and I can focus on Chibi. But what it means is that things like VAT tax and stuff like that are going to be applied on top of the price. So for a limited time until March 11th, for my early adopters, you'll have to, basically, if you had a subscription before in Stripe that's already been canceled, we canceled that after the live stream, so you won't be rebilled. You should still have access to Chibi until your old subscription would have expired. But what I'll do is, if you subscribe under the new platform, then I'll get a message that says that you subscribed, and then I'll go into Stripe and I'll do a prorated refund for the remaining time that you have on the Stripe side of things, your old subscription side of things. So you won't lose out on the time that you previously paid for already. I will refund that for you, so you won't lose anything. Now, in addition, these prices are priced in a very specific way. They're way, way down to $45 a month for the monthly and $35 a month for the yearly, because that's cheaper than the 10% discount you might have had before, even if you have VAT tax applied on top. So if you live in maybe the UK, where you have a 20% VAT tax, I know if you're American, yes, the overseas, like over in the EU, consumers pay a huge tax on things. So if you have to pay a 20% VAT tax, uh, you would be worried about moving from the Stripe previous price to this new price, right? But you don't have to worry about that. These prices, I made them so low that I'm practically losing on it. If you decide that you want to take advantage of this, that's perfect. I hope you do. The advantage for you is that this price is technically lower by a little bit if you have 20% VAT, more if you don't have that VAT, than when you had that 10% discount. So definitely get in there, take advantage of this. There's a couple of other things that are really nice about this is you can use PayPal to pay if you prefer. And also when you're logged in, you have the ability, I think I can show you this. You have the ability to pause your subscription, cancel your subscription, or downgrade to starter if you prefer. And these things kind of just happen, really quick, nice and seamless in the UI in the background in your account page. So there's no like popping up when you pause or when you resume. There's no like re-entering your credit card information and stuff like that. And also, billing support is handled by the paddle team. So if you ever have any issues with your billing or your credit card doesn't work or something's going on, they have a 24/7 team ready to help you with your billing issues. So there's a lot of benefits to this. And I hope that you take advantage of it. And when you log on, if you had a previous subscription, you'll see here a box that says, you have a legacy subscription. Click here to choose a plan. And that's when you will see this pricing table, and you would be able to pick a plan to get subscribed under the new plan, and once or under the new platform inside of Chibi 2.0. And once you do that, I will definitely go over and do the Stripe refund for you if you have it. So that's a recap of what we went over real fast. There were a lot of questions in the live stream, so there's definitely stuff that we talked about there that is not in this recap. But if you have the time, it's worth it. But I know 4 hours is a really long time. So hopefully you found this recap interesting. Hopefully Chibi 2.0 sounds interesting to you. And I've got some more ideas that are going to be coming soon. So stay tuned and take care.